Hello, friends. Good afternoon. I am Robert Scott, author of the soon to be released book, Developing Gravitas and Boosting Your Executive Presence. And we continue the series in terms of how we can help what's happening in Jamaica. And today we have a very special friend, TEDx alumni, TEDx Clarkson alumni. And I tell you, she is someone who is going to give us some very good information today. Now, Mrs. Mickell Dent is a powerful voice in personal transformation. She's a therapist, life coach, and international TEDx speaker who helps people remove the mask and embrace their authentic selves. As the founder of Boss Fly Girls and a nonprofit that supports young adults transitioning into adulthood, she empowers others to heal, grow, and create the life they truly desire. Michael, welcome. And,
Hello.
and I'm saying welcome to Jamaica. And I know you've been in Jamaica before because you and I shared a stage at that ice event that took place not too long ago.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you so much for having me. It's unfortunate the situation. However, I'm excited to be here to be able to offer something. And individuals such as yourself, who's there, who can smell it, who can taste it, the aftermath, and still, tasting it, the aftermath, but still raising your hand to say, I'm going to do something about this, what I can do. So thank you so much for creating this space.
And thank you for being here and willing to share. So let's jump right into it. So, Michael, as a therapist and transformational coach, what are some of the most common emotional and psychological reactions people experience after a natural disaster like Hurricane Melissa?
I would say that people often experience symptoms such as withdrawal, shock, fear, and a deep feeling of uncertainty. But I say this to say, I believe a lot of the individuals, when we hear a loss, we often think of a loved one. And we don't always consider a loss when there is a natural disaster, such as Hurricane Melissa. So when we're talking about emotional and psychological reactions to people, those are some of the reactions. They're wanting to shut down. Their brain is in survival mode. Their brain is trying to figure it all out. And we know I know as a mental health therapist, when your brain shuts down and it's in survival, I mean, when your brain is in survival mode, certain parts of your brain shut down, like your frontal lobe is going to shut down because you're in survival mode. Your brain is trying to recognize what to do. Either we're going to fight, we're going to freeze, or we're going to freeze. That's your alarm system. So a lot of things they can't even take in all the way because right away it's survival mode. Where am I gonna go next? What am I gonna do? How am I gonna feed my family? And that is a dangerous spot to live in.
Wow, I can appreciate what you're saying because as somebody who's been trained as a lifeguard, you know that the person who's drowning, he never says help, help, help because he's so focused on just surviving. So it's good that you mentioned that because when you internalize things and you shut yourself in, that's when it really becomes a problem. And you're gonna speak to a lot about that. That's gonna really help us. So, I want to touch on this. When I listen to you, you often speak about removing the mask and embracing authenticity. Now, in a situation like this, how can people be honest about their pain and fear right now without feeling weak or ashamed?
Yeah. Strength is not pretending that you are okay. It takes a strong individual to be able to say, I'm not okay. The amount
Mhm.
of vulnerability and authenticity in those few words is everything. So for anyone who is anyone who believes they have to pretend that they are okay, I encourage you to remove the mask. there is no way that we can get through something. Now, we can overcome some things, we can take some tools, we can jump over. But if you want to get through some things, you have to unmask. You have to get comfortable with saying, I'm not okay. Why do you need to do that? Because then you will strengthen your brain to know, wait a minute, I'm not okay. Our brain and our body are connected. So whether you say you are okay, if you pretend you are okay, your body will let you know you're not okay. And that's where the shutdown happens. So for anyone who is wearing a mask, and I get it, I'm from the inner city. So I grew up wearing many, many masks in order to even survive. So I definitely understand it. And it's not, people think saying I'm not okay is like this easy thing. It's not easy to say I'm not okay. Think about when we're passing each other. Hey, how you doing? We automatically say, I'm fine. How was your day? Fine. But we don't take a moment to really sit in that. So when you're brave enough to say, I'm not okay, one thing you're doing is you're giving your brain permission to not be in survival mode. That would then activate the part of your brain that makes the executive decisions, who can have the hope of knowing you will get out of this, who can then pour into creative thoughts and opportunities for you to start thinking more logical of ways that you could get out of this, for you to begin telling yourself, it's okay to not be okay. How am I going to get through this so I can overcome truly? So I will encourage anyone to just take a moment and pause. Even if you don't have the courage to say it out loud to others, take a moment and pause and ask yourself, are you okay? And with a devastation such as this, the answer more than likely will be no. And then I want you to tell yourself that that is okay too. You have to unmask and be honest with yourself. That's the only way to overcome. Otherwise, it's going to stay stuck, and it's going to book this traumatic event is going to turn into trauma, and it can cause so many other things, Robert.
I get it, Mickell, because in the service station, how can you be okay? You may
Hmm.
pass a dead body on the road. You, your house may not have a roof. You may not have a house. You may have lost everything that you've worked for decades. You can't say that I'm okay. You really need to be honest with yourself and really confront it. Now, drilling down in this, in the face of loss, homes, livelihoods, even your sense of safety, what are some immediate steps individuals can take to protect their mental well being?
What I would say is to first ground, grounding, sitting down, even if you are on the floor. Our feet touching the ground in Mother Nature is one of the most amazing ways to ground immediately.
Mhm.
You know, things start at the root. So even if you're not able to sit, take your shoes off, take your socks off, and just stand on solid ground. Ground. Take some deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. Bring your attention to your feet. If you're sitting down, bring your attention to your feet, your sit bone, and your back. Take deep breaths in and deep breaths out to ground. Why is that important? Because when we're grounding, we get something that's called dual awareness, the here and the now. What does that mean? Although these unfortunate things is happening in my life, I am here, I am present. And when we're doing that, we are telling our alarm system, survival mode, you can quiet down a little bit. I need to hear God. I need to hear my own self. So when you're grounding, you're letting your brain know it's going to be okay. You're zoning into the here and now, dual awareness. All those things happening all around you. I am here, I am now, and right now I am safe. So that's the first thing to do is ground, because it's going to get you more present. And then once you're more present, you have now unlocked a part of your brain that could think more openly despite this situation. And then you want to ask yourself, what can I control? Because I can only imagine with a devastation like that, the anxiety levels. What about this? I don't work my whole life. And what about this? What about this? What about this? So slowing down the ground, you'll be able to pause and say, what could I control? So that'll be the advice that I can give. And what you control, you write that down. And you begin controlling what you can control. And now you're strengthening your other part of your brain, your positive neural network. So once you start strengthening that, you start believing again. And then you start doing more you can control.
That's really awesome. So what I'm hearing you say, ground, connect with nature. Take off your shoes, stand up right there. Be grounded, be present. And then this whole thing about control, it's important because you have lost your home, but maybe you're living in one room and you can keep that room tidy. You can remove things up. I can be in charge of this room. This is what I have power over. And it
Mhm,
empowers you.
mhm.
Wow, really awesome. Thanks so much for
Yeah,
that. Now
absolutely.
let's jump into another area now. We are seeing see survivors focus on rebuilding physically, but not emotionally. What are some signs that someone might be struggling mentally, even if they appear to be coping?
That is really good. So for someone like me, I'm the strong friend, the strong everything. So it's easy for me to program because I program my brain to think I'm the strong friend. So I don't even recognize within myself that I am struggling or I'm not doing well. So I say that to say I am a person who had to practice this. So this advice I want to give to those individuals because pay attention to those who experience this, but overall, who's out there listening when you have your strong friends. These are some of the signs. They say they're okay, but there's a difference. There's a sudden withdrawal. They're not engaging in the things they normally engage with. They're not able to get out of the bed. They're talking more negatively. Even when you say something positive, it automatically goes into something negative. This is changed behaviors. This is how you know because they're in trauma world. And when we're in survival mode, trauma world, we think different. Our body language are different. We eat different. We're our vocabulary, we become some people, I should say, become more aggressive. Is this person more short-tempered with you? Those are some of those signs. Are they not eating? Are they making excuses for different things? So check on everyone though. Check on everyone. And then slowly, another technique that I want to say for an individual, because that's the response to someone that you want to check on your friends that always say they're okay. But what about you? What if you don't even know how to ask your own self if you are okay? A telltale sign is just to sit and do a body scan. Is there anything in your body? Because our body speaks to us too. Sometimes our mind is like, I'm okay. So sit down and do a body scan from head to toe. Is anything penetrating in your body? And if there's pains that you didn't even notice before you did this body scan, that is a telltale sign that you are not okay as well.
Uh, that's an excellent point. Thank you so much for that. Now, I want to go to a point which we spoke about before the program started, and this is survival. For those who feel guilty because they survived while others lost everything, how do you help them navigate survival skills? And frankly, I never heard this term before this hurricane, but it's very real because I'm in Kingston and I'm almost saying, my God, I'm okay, but they're not. What caused me to be okay? And you're almost questioning yourself. So I can imagine someone who is in it and they see what's happening around them and they could easily feel this way.
Wow, that's really good because survival remorse is real. Survival remorse is so real. You start questioning like a lot of different things. But I often tell individuals that we have to carry our gratitude more than we carry our guilt or our shame. So you can begin by speaking like gratitude, like you're thankful for this. And when you feel bad about someone else's situations, that's normal. That's a normal emotion. However, when you're feeling bad or a negative emotion because of something that you were able to survive, right there, I guess because I'm a trauma expert, to me that right away tells me you're connecting it to something else. And then it's like, because who told you you could not survive? You know, when it's that emotion where you're feeling really guilty and it's impacting your day, that is a trauma response to me because it's deeper. Who told you that you couldn't survive? Who told you you was not worthy enough to be okay? Who told you that you have to take on the pain of others in order to feel okay? So to me, it's a little deeper than that. But on a surface level, as a coach and not the therapist, I would say with that survival remorse, I want you to know you are not alone. Survival guilt is real. How you begin to overcome that is showing gratitude. I'm thankful. Yes, I understand they went through that. Share in that empathy, but that is not you. Now, because I survived, how could I go back now and help those individuals? And that is something that I would suggest as a coach.
That's beautiful. You're taking the focus off yourself onto others who have needs.
Yeah,
That's
because if
absolutely.
everyone didn't survive, who will be helping those who if everyone did not survive, who's going to help the ones who didn't survive? No one, because none of us survived. So some people have to be the warriors. Some people have to be the servants. Some people have to be the power and the light that's going to help those in need. So sometimes we got to trick our brain when we're thinking like, oh, me, why this could have happened to me? Why not me and them? I have this. I at least could have flew to this. All of those things. But then if you go fly and who's going to be the light to be the servant?
Wow. Wow. Got it. Got it. Now, let's look at those who are flying under the radar, the shorter ones. And you've worked extensively with young adults through your nonprofit now. How do you see trauma from disasters like this affecting the youth? And what role can parents or mentors or other influential persons in the family play in helping them heal?
This is huge because right away I think about COVID. Right away I think about my own children who had to experience that. Then right away I think about the young ladies, a part of my nonprofit organization, Glow 414. And I think about some of them was first generational ever to graduate high school and they couldn't go across the stage because of COVID. So then right away I think about how many youth in that moment, in that pandemic, that it skyrise when we're talking about mental health. Why? Because no one was checking on our babies. No one was asking our babies how they felt. And let me be clear before I go into this, because I'm passionate about our young individuals. We have to be the voice for them. Before I go, I don't blame anyone because I was a mom who didn't always know, like, go check on your kids. Why? Because I said earlier, survival mode. We're trying to see how we're going to get a roof over your head. We're trying to see how we're going to feed you. We're trying to see how we're going to position our life so you don't have to struggle too long. So we don't always pause enough to say, wait a minute, but is my kid okay? Is my baby okay? So I want you to, there's no blame here. I totally understand. However, now that we're listening to this, and for those who could hear the voice that I'm saying, I want you to understand it is so important for us to check on our youth. It is so important for them to believe that they are seen. It is so important for them to feel heard. It is so important for them to feel encouraged right now. Why? Because they're tomorrow leaders. We can teach them right now how to overcome. We can teach them right now how it's okay to be vulnerable. We can teach them right now how their voices matter. They might have brilliant ideas in their little minds that will allow us to get over this experience overall in a heartbeat. But we have to check on them because if we don't check on them, we're telling them they don't matter. We're telling them their voices does not matter. We're telling them that their internal voices are it's going to become it's louder than God's voice, because if no one's talking to you, you talk to yourself. Many of us, I'll be the first to admit, I got plenty voices that be in my head, and I know sometimes, but when you're sitting and you have no one to talk to, those voices become louder and louder and louder. And because you're now in survival mode, now they become more and more negative. Now they keep telling you don't matter. You might as well kill yourself because you don't matter. No one's listening. No one will even notice if you're gone. All those voices become louder because we're not pausing just to say, hey, I'm worried about me. How are you doing? You can't go to school because just like our lives are turned around and upside down, there's our too. They're not able to talk to their friends anymore. We had a stagnant connection earlier because of the Wi-Fi in Jamaica. So all of these things that they're used to, their life is turned upside down as well. So I just really want to make an emphasis on that in our young people. Pause them. And if they say they're okay, be the authoritative figure and say, no, you're not, baby. And it's okay, you're not okay.
Michael, this is such a powerful conversation. And I'm getting two things. It said a lot, and I got a lot, but two things are jumping out at me. One, we have to listen. It's so critical for us to listen and get in their space because they don't have the coping skills that we've developed over the years. And the second thing, too, is that this is a teachable moment. That's what I got from what you said. This is how we train them to be resilient. So the next time a hurricane comes or our next disaster, they'll be that much more prepared.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I I want to now move to the village. Maybe the village may be destroyed in many respects, but how can communities come together to support each other, not physically but emotionally, especially when everyone is hurting at the same time?
Vulnerability. Vulnerability is the new protection. I'm not okay. And then your sister say, I'm not okay. And then your sister say, I'm not okay. And then your brother say, I'm not okay. And then someone say, it must be okay not to be okay. Survival mode turned down a little bit. Then you start thinking collectively, how can we get out of this? So we're all not okay. How can we get out of this? Because we want to be okay. Sometimes just somebody, you feel heard, you feel seen, you feel like I'm not by myself, I'm not alone. Sometimes vulnerability is the only strength you have, because when you're vulnerable, it unlocks something inside of you that unlocks a power you did not know you had. That is what I'm going to say. If we're talking about emotional or anything, vulnerability is key. By saying I'm not okay, because if we're all saying we're not okay, we're servants. Well, how can I help my sister? Sometimes we can help other people before ourselves. So if my sister say that she's not okay, I can help her. If I say I'm not okay to my brother, he can help me. Now we're all helping each other because we don't believe we can help ourselves. That's just how the brain is wired. But how many times we have helped other people when we were sad and down, might have loaned somebody our last $20. So sometimes when we're vulnerable enough to say we're not okay, that can ignite power within us. If you're a servant and true to your heart and core want to help someone, you're gonna naturally just want to figure it out to help them. Because that's what we do. We help people before we help ourselves sometimes. So sometime if all of us are saying we're not okay, somebody in the group gonna be trying to help somebody.
Wow. So, I'm getting it. So let's take one more baby step. One more baby step. How can tragedy, as painful as it is, become a catalyst for personal or community renewal? You pretty much started to answer that.
Renewal, starting fresh. What's the root? What is the root? How can some people who study the Bible commend Noah for building the ark, having to start fresh and all of that? But here's an opportunity for us to build it with the new information we know now. We didn't know what we didn't know then, but we know what we know now. How many times we're like, oh, if I could have never been my ancestors, but they were so powerful. They went through so much. What is my point? Sometimes the ending is not an ending, it's the beginning of light now. It's the beginning to get it right, more right, because Jamaica already right. Everyone loves Jamaica. It's an opportunity in the beginning to remove our mask now, open up some opportunities to be able to discuss vulnerability. As much as I love my Jamaica, my brothers and my sisters, I know that mental health is not big there. This is an opportunity for us to create to our babies that it's okay to not be okay. And vulnerability is real strength for us to talk about mental health, for us to now, when we're healing through past traumas and all of that, to overcome, for us to now teach this generation how to not just be vulnerable, how to now build their own country. So if people coming, if history try to repeat itself, we can go wherever. We know how to build our whole country again. That's what I'm talking about. We can't be afraid for adversity. Yes, it hurts, it's traumatic. Let's go through those emotions. But what is this the opportunity to do? It's the opportunity for us to be the beginning of the future now.
what you said is quite profound. And I'm going to steal something that you said. You said it's not an ending, it's a beginning. And that framing, I think, is absolutely spot on. What we absolutely have to do. It's not looking to the past, what I had, but it's now what can I do with what I now have.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, what are some simple practices, perhaps daily routines, affirmations, or grounding exercises that people can use right now to stay emotionally stable and hopeful? I remember
Emotion.
you gave us grounding, and you had shared a few other points too.
Yeah. So right now, we have to be honest with ourselves. Right now. Pause. Am I okay? Don't even respond for 10 seconds. Just think about it. Am I okay? You only can answer yes or no. Am I okay? Yes or no? Yes, I'm okay. Why am I lying to myself? If you ask yourself, am I okay? And the answer is no. I want you to say, it's okay not to be okay.
It's
So that's
okay not to be okay.
it's okay to not be okay because that's the first step. If we're not honest with our own self, how are we going to be honest with the world? How are we going to really see what we need in order to be okay if we're not even honest with ourselves? So that's the first step. That's what they can do right now. After that, ground. I mentioned that earlier. Ground. Get connected with nature. Take those shoes off. Just focus. Grounding is just becoming here and now. If you can't feel anything, because sometimes trauma, we can't even feel anything. Look around. Go look for the color red. How many? Go find me 5 red things in the room you're in right now, or 5 black things. That's grounding. It's getting you to the here and the now. So one, be honest with yourself, grounding. And now that you did that, I'm gonna give you a bonus. I said this earlier. I was on a mastermind. It's the ABCs. That's my theory. It's addiction, behavior, and consequences. Right? ABC. What am I doing every day? Am I telling myself I'm not going to survive? Am I telling myself this is crazy? There's no way out? Because if so, you got to get to the B. That stands for behavior. What is your behavior going to look like? You're not going to want to get out the bed. You're going to be down. You're going to be angry. All of those things. C, consequence. What is the consequence to that? You're not able to make it out. You're not able to make it out. Now you're losing relationships. So then I want you to write ABC again. And when you're writing ABC, what is something new I can tell myself? So I can create this addiction, this dopamine of feeling good. I can tell myself I'm going to make it out. I'm going to make it out. B, what's the behavior? You know, when you start believing I'm going to make it out, you start behaving different. You start doing the things you need to do to make it out. And C, what's the consequence? You're going to get out of this thing. You're going to get out of it.
The alphabet never sounded this good. I'm going to say it again. A, addiction. B, your behaviors. And C, the consequences. Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. You know, we're coming almost to the end or to the end of our program. So I have one last question for you. Now, if someone watching us this evening feels like they're at their breaking point, what would you want them to hear from you in this moment?
You have survived 100% of everything you've been through. Those secret nights you were crying, those days you pretended to be okay when you were not okay, those financial like the financial situations you were in where you didn't know how you was going to pay the next bill, you didn't know if your lights were going to be off, you didn't know if you was going to have enough money for your baby's diapers or put food in your baby's mouth. You made it out. So I want you to hear me clearly. I know I can only imagine what you're going through right now. But I want you to know you survived 100% of everything you've been through. How do I know? Because you can hear me right now. So this too, you will survive.
Wow. Mickell, therapist, TEDx speaker. How can we get in touch with you? You shared wonderful information here, and I know person listening would want to reach out to you. What are your social media handles?
What you can do is go to therapistmickelld.com, therapistmickelld.com, and you can get to all of my platforms there. So right to my website, you'll get to therapy website. I do mental health consultations, or you can get to the coaching where you can join my free community and you hear things like this, tips and things like that. So we'll make it very simple. Therapistmickelld.com, and then on IG, Instagram, therapist Mickell D.
Awesome. Mickell, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking about unpleasurable topic,
Yes.
but very necessary. And thank you so much for sharing of yourself. And you know the Jamaican people, you know who we are, and you know we will overcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, we are signing out. Tune in tomorrow for another special guest who will speak with us. Take care, everyone. Bye now.